Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for second round advice. Gabriel Miramontes, Jacob Bartley. I've never said this to you publicly or, behind the scenes or personally for that matter, but Jacob Bartley. It's just a good name. It's a solid name. I don't know. It's a movie name, to be honest with you. Jacob Bartley.
Yeah.
Jacob Bartley in, like James Bond, some shit like that. You'd probably be in comedy. Jacob, if you had to be in a specific type of genre of film as an actor, what realm of film would that be?
Man, that is a great question. I don't know if the answer is appropriate for on screen.
Well, think of a more
kidding.
appropriate answer.
Just kidding.
But before we do that, we have to shout out to Apocalypse, because I also noticed in our going live intro, you are wearing your Apocalypse apparel, and I'm wearing my First Round Fantasy apparel. So one of us is doing our job. The other one's just free advertising to other podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm promoting.
Jacob, also, wait, before you get your comment in, Stardew thinks you'd be great for mom movies. I could picture not as the Dawn, but maybe a Michael Corleone.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I could do that.
Kind of standoff, kind of skittish, quiet. I like it.
Yeah, I would either go towards those Judd Apatow comedies, like Knocked Up and those type of movies, or I would probably I would want to star in historical 1920s movies, period pieces.
Dude, as soon as you said Judd Apatow, it's that's where I feel I would best.
Yeah, you would. But no, I would be the guy I would be the serious guy in the Judd Apatow movies, where everyone I wouldn't be the Seth Rogen character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to be the Seth Rogen. I want to be the Paul Rudd character. I feel
yeah, you would be the Paul Rudd character. But no, I would definitely play a 25-year-old Abraham Lincoln. That's what I would be doing.
That was so precise. All right, well, good to know. I'm glad we got that out of the way. It's a question I've been dying to ask, and you just have a name that's meant for TV, man. So maybe you were meant to be in this genre or this area of entertainment.
So I mean, I do. So Bartley. Fun fact: Bartley is my last name. It's my dad's last name, but on my birth certificate, I actually have my mom and my dad's last name. So I don't pronounce it right because I don't have a Hispanic accent, but my full name is Jacob Cardania Bartley, but I use my dad's last name just because.
Dude, you just said I don't say it right because I'm not Hispanic, but my name is I grew up my whole life not rolling my R's, so people say I pronounce my own last name wrong, and I can't help it. I don't speak Spanish. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm learning. But,
it's not our fault, man.
It is as it is. Anyways, welcome on in to the podcast. We appreciate you all coming in. Be sure to like and subscribe, or if you feel like we haven't deserved your like and subscribe yet, give us some time. Listen a little bit longer. We'll give you some hot takes along the way. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at First Round Fantasy. You can find us here on YouTube, where our beautiful faces are, every Wednesday night and Sunday morning on YouTube at First Round Fantasy, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, most notably Apple Podcast or Spotify. With that being said, we're switching things up a little bit this week. We're going to dive right into our dark horses, because over the last few weeks, we found ourselves preventing ourselves from talking about our dark horses, talking about our fool's gold, because they naturally come up in other conversations. So we're going to get them out of the way so that we can just focus and get through all the other good stuff that this podcast has to offer. And before we do, we can't do it without all of you, such as Gio Ramos. Thanks for stopping by today, man. Trade value for Brees Hall in Dynasty. I would ask you this counter: trade value for Javonte Williams in Dynasty, as I am in cahoots with someone right now. The talks have quieted, but they are still alive. There are embers burning. As far as trade value for Brees Hall in Dynasty, that's tough. Right now, he's going to be at his absolute lowest value. So I'd recommend just stashing him. There has already been numerous reports that it's if he comes back healthy, he will be the unquestioned number one again. And it just has yet to be seen. So if you're trading for him right now, he's low. He's 1 first-round pick. He's high-end RB2. But I wouldn't do that because I'm waiting for the build-up. You've invested a lot in him. I'm probably holding out as long as I can into the summer.
Crazy, man. Because let's say he stayed healthy all year and kept up this production. He would arguably be the dynasty running back one, arguably. And so that's crazy to go from that level of value to this. And now Gabe's right. This is his lowest value right now. But you know what? As soon as you start hearing rumblings over the offseason, oh, Breece Hall, he's getting healthy, he's starting to run again. Once you start hearing that, his value skyrockets. Same with Javonte Williams. So I recommend, like, if you can get those guys for cheap right now in a dynasty league, do it before people start asking for 2 first-round picks for those guys when it comes right before the season starts next year. So it really just depends. But what's his value right now? Like Gabe said, I mean, maybe 1 first-round pick, if you want to gauge it that way, or like maybe you can get a wide receiver 2 from a team that's not competing, something like that.
Yeah, it just feels like to me that you should just wait. You'll get much more value for him later on, especially if reports come out that he's on track next offseason. He's doing well. He's healing well. He's progressing well.
Yeah,
that's when you're going to get the bang.
The earliest I would trade him is right before the trade deadline this season, the fantasy trade deadline this season, to a team that's clearly tanking. That's the earliest I would trade him.
Oh, is that also the earliest you would consider trading Javonte Williams to, Jacob, right before the trade deadline to a team that's tanking?
No, because I've already offered Javonte Williams to teams, but Javonte Williams has been injured for much longer.
For your information, I've been trying to tank, Jacob. It's not my fault. Our league is very washed right now in the current landscape that it lives in, and I am currently sitting in a playoff spot. So
hey, QBs are rough. QBs are rough in that league,
dude. 12-man dynasty league, 2 QB super flex. It doesn't get any tougher.
I love it though. It's competitive.
It's very competitive.
I like it.
Hey, we got love for Gio in the chat. I'm good. I'm glad to know you'll be back soon, Gio. Jacob, we're not wasting any time tonight, man. You ready to get into your dark horses? Before you do, because I always say before you do, I need to think of a better catchphrase or transition word. Let's review last week's dark horses. You went with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I guess that wasn't good because
no, I mean, so to be fair,
he got the touchdown, didn't he?
Yeah, but he only had like 9 fantasy points, 9 point fantasy points. But right before the game starts, right? It's announced, not right before the game starts, but earlier in the day, it's announced that Isaiah Pacheco is the starter of the Chiefs. So I'm like, oh, well, there goes my dark horse for this week. And then, I see. And I kept Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the lineup that I had both of those players. And Clyde ends up outscoring Pacheco fantasy-wise, but still 9 points. That's not a win for me. I was expecting better.
That's fair enough. Well, hey, I was also expecting better. I went with Wan'Dale Robinson. Solid outing. Led the team in targets. Tied the team in the league in yardage. It still turned into a 6 for 59 performance. 11.5 fantasy points. The goal was to get above 12, and he couldn't do it. But if you put him in your flex spot, I suppose you might have done okay. I see, Jacob, you did me some gracefulness, and you kind of like shaded his name a lighter color red as opposed to like dark red.
Because we on our notes we mark them red or green, and I gave Gabe like an orange. It's like in the middle. It's like a push, I like to call it. But I would say both of our guys didn't kill anybody if they started them.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Touchdowns, PPR value. I still think Wan'Dale Robinson going forward is a premium PPR value and somebody that should be rostered in just about all league form. Well, not standard, but half point PPR, full PPR. He's a guy that needs to be on your radar for sure. Now, let's get into this week's. Jacob, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Let's go ahead.
All right. So the guy that I'm going to go with, I would consider him, dark horse, dart throw, whatever we want to call this, and that is Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons. He's nowhere near a lineup lock for anybody right now. He started off the season really hot and has been disappointing lately, and part of that is to do with the volume of passing in Atlanta. And you see last week, he only had one target and one reception for 9 yards. That is not promising at all. But, Cincinnati has been, they played Cincinnati last week, and they haven't, they've been able to hold teams back. So I'm not really too concerned about that. Look, I just think the man is too talented, and I think they're playing Carolina this week. And I just feel like, Atlanta's going to beat Carolina. And I do think that they're going to have to put up at least 3 touchdowns and a field goal to do so. So I think that Drake London's going to be involved in that action. I think he's going to get you a touchdown, at least 50 yards in the air, a few catches. So I'm not saying he's going to be back to like, oh my goodness, blow up rookie wide receiver that we all thought he was going to be. But I do think he's going to get back to form, get back to a solid flex option, and get you above 12 points, somewhere in between 12 and 15 fantasy points this week. So I'm rolling with Drake London for week 8.
Well, dude, it's not the worst pick. It's not the greatest pick. Sometimes we have to disagree with each other, right? I just don't know, man. That team is literally run-first football.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota the last 2 weeks has thrown the ball 14 and 13 times respectively. It's like I read an article earlier yesterday, I want to say, and it's like Drake London, 40% of target share. Well, it sounds extremely high, but in relation to what he's actually seeing, it's like 2 or 3 targets, and it's a matter of what can he do. As far as like the Panthers pass defense, they're middle of the pack. They've shown upside. They've shown downside. So with that being said, it's a perfect scenario if they need to kind of bounce back. I mean, by all means, ATL is not like a horrible team this year. We've seen them take on the Niners and win, even with a deflated defense. But they're 3-4. It's not like they're just slouching over waiting for a draft pick. We have some people in the chat here that might agree with me, and we'll get to those comments in a moment. But I think ultimately what I'm thinking is, unless Mariota's throwing the ball upwards of 20 times a game, I just don't see it for Drake London. But you're counting on them getting the job done through the air this week, maybe a red zone target or 2 that can possibly save the day for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive game. It's a divisional game. Carolina has given up the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers, so it's a decent matchup. And I just think, like I said, if we think Atlanta's going to win, which I don't know what other people are thinking, but I do, and they're going to have to put up. Someone's going to have to score for them to win, right? And it might be a running back or 2, or a running back scoring all 3 touchdowns, whatever the case is. But I believe in the man, Drake London. I think he's too talented. And I just, honestly, this is just wishful thinking on my part. I'm trying to manifest Drake London being back on the wide receiver rookie breakout radar. So let's go. Let's do it.
Well, hey, there you have it. There's Jacob Bartley's, because we like the name fully said. Jacob Bartley's week 8, if you can believe it or not, dark horse player of the week, Drake London. All right, man, let's get to some of the comments here. We've been ignoring the people that we owe all the credit to. Star Drew says the Lions look good, but defense and offense, though. I don't know what that means, but okay, I feel it. They do look good at times. Jared Goff has had a couple of poor performances in a row, though. Hope he can bounce back this week. Mardell Johnson, friend of the show, currently on the show. Join us Sundays. You'll always catch him on the Sunday morning tailgate. He says, dang, I'm assuming you're Skippy, Jacob, because he thinks ATL is winning this week, good sir, not losing. So he thinks winning
against the Carolina Panthers. Hey, they beat the Buccaneers, so watch
out. What are you going to do? Star Drew also comes back and says Falcons versus Panthers look real good to be a good shootout. Star Drew, hot take. I'm disagreeing with you. That's right. I said it. I'm disagreeing with you, man. Why do you think it's going to be a shootout? What's up, Mardell? It could be a shootout. Okay, now it's just a whole bunch of people talking to each other. But Johnny Quest comes in the chat. What's up, man? How you doing? That was kind of weird the way I said that. Anyways, He does say Mariota and Fields, I think, are in a secret competition amongst each other for lowest pass attempts in NFL history. Yeah, dude, they are. Who's going to win, though, Johnny? That's what I want to know. Mariota or Justin Fields? Who's going to do it? That's what I want to hear. All right. Well, you guys think about it. Thanks for generating the chat. We appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and give my dark horse pick for this week. Drum roll, please. It's really not that big of a deal this week. But it is DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. I get it. Gabe, he just came out last week. He had his first great game. Why are you talking to us about DJ Moore? He's obviously going right back into our lineups. Sure, possibly, maybe. That could be the case for DJ Moore. And I'm here to tell you that I do think it is time to put him back into your lineup, especially this week. Jacob and I have opposing dark horses this week that happen to be playing each other. Carolina goes into ATL to play the Falcons. Star Drew in the chat thinks there's going to be a shootout. I don't necessarily believe that, but I will say this. ATL has an atrocious offense. Sorry, Mardell. I know you're out there. Good friend of the show. I feel the need to say that. So when I say bad things about the Falcons, I can reaffirm him that he's still a good friend. So thank you, bud, even though your team is awful. But they play ATL. It's an exposable defense through the air. We've seen countless wide receivers come in, just like Joe Burrow did last week with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins and company, and Tyler Boyd. I feel like I shouldn't say in company without mentioning him as well. Very exposable defense. And, this team rallied last week after trading Christian McCaffrey, unseemingly looking like they are ready to fully tank this season, move on, look forward to the draft, pick their future QB, whatever it may be. But they rallied. They came back. They won. They beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, which no one thought, unless there's that one guy in Vegas that put 100 down on the Panthers. He's probably sitting pretty right now. Good for him. But he's also probably a crazy person, right? Because who would have thought that would have happened? With that being said, Christian McCaffrey was the only option on that team that was remotely possible of producing anything for fantasy. Now, we have to look to the next option of anybody that resembles fantasy value on that team. And it is DJ Moore, 25-year-old wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. There's just no way around it. Who's going to produce? Who's going to move the ball forward? It's DJ Moore now. No more CMC. Insert DJ Moore. I get it. One's a running back. One's a wide receiver. It doesn't matter. You have to figure out a way to move the ball in the NFL. And DJ Moore was able to find a way to do that last week. The coaches have come out and said, they want to get him more involved. They're also not looking to trade him. I see it going both ways. If the Panthers decide to tank, they're going to keep forcing the ball to DJ Moore. He saw 10 targets last week. That was great compared to what he's been seeing this year. That's his highest target total since week 4, where he saw 11. And before that, and in between that, he just hasn't been seeing a lot of targets. So if the team is going to come out and eventually trade him, they need to put him on display. They need to show other teams what he is capable of doing. Therefore, I think that's a benefit. If the team thinks he is a foundational piece, then they need to start building around him, which they're going to start doing. And we could have seen the start of that just last week. Okay. I think he's a safe PPR floor this week. I don't really like him in standard leagues. I think the touchdown upside is a little off there. I wouldn't be banking on a touchdown per any means. But I think as far as half PPR and full PPR, I think he has a very safe floor, and you're hitting a home run if he catches a touchdown, okay? There are a couple of guys I like better than him this week, or that I like more. There are a couple of guys that I'd rather start. I always trip myself up over these. There are just a few guys that I like less than him this week that I think currently are ranked above him. One being Deontay Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They take on the Philadelphia Eagles this week. And Brandon Cooks of the Houston Texans, who take on the Tennessee Titans this week. I just think going forward, again, they have to funnel the target somewhere. That guy is DJ Moore. I think he finds nice, comfortable value, and it gets even better this week when they go up against one of the league's worst pass defenses in the Atlanta Falcons. Jacob?
Yeah, man, I didn't realize it until you said it, but yeah, our guys are going against each other. And I was going to say in my argument that, like, look, it's not going to be a shootout, but I'm saying Carolina's going to get the ball moving with DJ Moore. And that was going to be part of my argument, is that they're going to get the ball moving. Like, PJ Walker finally came alive last week with DJ Moore. And, like, because of DJ Moore producing, Atlanta's going to have to fire back with Drake London. And I was like, now I'm thinking, oh, they're going to complement each other. They're going to be the reason why they both succeed. So maybe both of our dark horses can help each other out and help their team score. So they have to pass the ball, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, how can you disagree with that? The first week without CMC there, and DJ Moore finally comes alive, and it's looking good. So that's a good pick.
Well, thank you, sir. And I'm willing to bet on it. Your dark horse and my dark horse are in the same game. Who has the better fantasy day, Jacob? I'm going with DJ Moore.
I can't take that bet.
Oh, it hurt my heart. I really thought we had something.
Because I'm not taking my dark horse thinking he's gonna beat DJ Moore. I'm just taking my dark horse thinking he's gonna do pretty well, like, on his own. But, like, that doesn't necessarily mean I think he's going to do better than DJ Moore. And all of the reasons that you stated against Drake London are why I'm not willing to take that bet.
Fair enough. Well, again, Sleeper currently has DJ Moore projected for 13.35 fantasy points this week. That's about 7 catches for 70 yards or so. I think he could do a little bit better than that this week. I think they're really going to force feed him the ball. They're going to get him involved, and they're going to look for him to have a great fantasy day, not only for the NFL purposes, but for your fantasy lineups. And with that being said, again, that's DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, and he is my Gabriel Miramontes, dark horse for week 8 of this fantasy football season. Come on, Jacob. You ain't taking that bet. Come on, bro. Let's look at some chats. Back to Johnny over here. Justin Fields. Yeah, he's going to win it, dude. I don't know. You know, personally, I have not been a Justin Fields truther at all, even since he was drafted. I drafted him, named a dynasty startup team after him. It was all just cover up. I
traded him off real quick.
Yeah, I traded him off very fast. I just think that a new regime came in right after. They came in right after, and I don't really like new regimes. And they just traded away a key defensive piece today. I think that team is trying to lose, and I think what they're going to do is eventually draft Justin Fields' replacement. That's just the way it is. Jacob Bartley says Derek Carr or Dak Prescott. Dude, Derek Carr this week going against wait, what? Who are they going up against this week? Do you know? I should know.
I mean, you should know.
I should know.
But I have it right here. It is New Orleans.
There you go. Actually, Dak Prescott. Who's Dak Prescott going up against this week?
They are playing Chicago.
Ooh, you know, 2 stingy defenses. But like I said, man, I mean, dude, Chicago just traded away a premier defensive end. I think his name is Rockwell Smith or something like that. I don't know. I don't like vibes. I knew Dak Prescott was going to look rusty last week. That was inevitable. Coming back after missing 4 or 5 games, there's no way he was going to come out and light the world on fire. I think he probably gets his footing under him this week. But are you playing me, Jacob? This is a league where you're playing me?
Let's find out. No, I'm not. I'm playing Joseph.
Dude, then we can talk more about this later because we really got to make sure we're right so he can lose. By the way, if you're listening, Joe, thank you. We appreciate you. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's the other great shootout. Raiders versus Saints. Could be. You know, the Raiders do have a pretty good offense. It's a matter of if they can get it rolling or not any given Sunday. 29-24 Falcons or the Panthers win, I say. Okay, fair enough. I also take the Falcons in this game. I'm going lower score star, Drew. I'm going 21-14 Falcons.
Hey, if that's the real score, 29-24, then I'm hoping London and Moore do something. Like, unless it's like 4 Cordell Patterson touchdowns.
Fair enough. Mardell Johnson says, good friend, Gabe. As awful as the Falcons are, they aren't as awful as your Raiders. All right, we're going to go ahead and block Mardell Johnson.
That's what I was laughing about
and he'll
while you were doing your dark horse.
Sunday morning tailgates. So, yeah, good job there. You just got yourself kicked off of first round fantasy, Mardell. No longer part of the show. Mark my words, it will come true. 29-24. Stardew, let's bet it. 21-14, I say. 29-24, you say. New friend of the show, Zach Bergren. New friend of the show. He says Lazard or Lockett this week. Bro, check the news. Alan Lazard has been ruled out this week. So you are starting Tyler Lockett no matter what. Fact check it for me, Jacob, if you want to, but I'm pretty sure
either way, I would still go Lockett because Metcalf is definitely not playing this week.
Yeah.
And Lockett has been good, like not every game. He's always inconsistent, but like he's been pretty solid like this season. So I would still go Lockett, even if Lazard was healthy.
Lazard has already been ruled out. Boom, boom, boom. Lockett, he's a surefire start in that situation. Hey, I know you're new to the show, Zach, but the motto is, if we get it right, you got to like and subscribe. And technically, that was your question, and you just didn't know that Alan Lazard was going to be out. So you have to start Lockett, and he's obviously going to perform better than Alan Lazard. So hit that like and subscribe, man. But we do appreciate you stopping by. So thank you very much. Mardell, laughing emojis. All love, brother. No love to share around here. You shut your mouth. That's right. I can say it because you're not actually on camera right now.
As long as nobody mentions that Niners-Chiefs game, then we're good.
Dude, so last week. I'm interested to see what CMC can do this week when they really get him involved and get him scheming and get him going. I think he's going to have a fantastic day. And I think brighter days are ahead for that San Francisco 49ers team. So there was a kind thing I said, Jacob. I hope you take that into account because I'm a very kind person. You ready to get into some Fool's Gold?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Well, since you had the pleasure of starting off with our dark horses, I will start off with our Fool's Gold. Last week, I went with Chris Olave. He was the first wide receiver in 7 weeks. Again, compared to guys like, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, just to name a few, Deebo Samuel, to actually score more than 12 fantasy points through the air, and he did so. He had a fantastic day. Chris Olave, the real deal. So I did not get my Fool's Gold player right last week. Cortland Sutton was Jacob's, and Jacob, he was a hot pile of doo-doo, so you succeeded. Congratulations, my friend.
I finally got one right. Yay.
Is that your first one? No, you're
No.
2-week streak, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm so good at predicting failure. No, I haven't. I just feel like, okay, it's because I took a week off. I feel like I haven't got a dark horse right in a while. I had that George Pickens once in week 5, so there's something.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. You're doing great. All right, let's get into it. My Fool's Gold player for week 8 of the fantasy football season is none other than Chicago Bears running back David Montgomery. There are only 2 teams on bye this week, and part of me, when I was looking at players, I was looking at matchups, I was looking at previous stats, I was asking myself, well, it's bye season. Like, running backs are already scarce as it is. There's got to be other people out there that there aren't going to be any other running backs out there that I can replace with big name guys like David Montgomery. Well, there are only 2 teams on bye this week, and I think that's sufficient enough that there is a landscape out there where you should be able to start other players over a player like David Montgomery. Let's go ahead and talk about some reasons why David Montgomery is my Fool's Gold player of the week, starting with number 1. I always look at defensive matchups. I get it. They shouldn't drive your force. They shouldn't drive your thought process, but they are the basis of mine and usually where I start. I love matchups in that respect. You're always going to start your studs. I get that. David Montgomery is teetering on middle of the road RB2 status this year, and I think that is where I really start to take into account these matchups. Who do they play? They play the Dallas Cowboys. They are the first ranked team against the run. They've given up 2 rushing touchdowns all year long. Why is that bad for David Montgomery? Well, 1, it's going to be hard for him to get into the end zone, and 2, he's not seeing a lot of passing downs work. He's not getting a lot of action through the air. So that means if he has a 14 for 75 day, he's only getting you 7.5 fantasy points. That's not going to turn out very well for him. and it's not going to turn out very well for your fantasy lineup as well. Uh, Other reason, as I said, again, alluding to the targets, he's only seen one target 2 weeks ago. He saw no targets last week. And 3 weeks ago, he saw 4 targets. And he's not just doing a lot with them. All right. That week where he saw 4 targets, he converted into 2 to 11. Wasn't that special. They're not getting a lot done. Justin Fields is taking a lot of that away with his rushing upside. So it's hindering him in that respect. The Bears coach, I do not know how to say his last name, but I believe it is Matt Eberfluss. Recently read an article earlier that he's come out and said that they want to get Khalil Herbert more involved. And I thought to myself, hasn't Khalil Herbert already been involved enough? He's been great. And sure, Montgomery has been great too, to some extent. David Montgomery wasn't a guy that you spent a round 2 draft pick on. He was kind of considered that dead zone, right in the middle of the dead zone, maybe right before it in the 3rd round. You weren't investing a lot in David Montgomery this year, but with the emergence of Khalil Herbert, and to my surprisingly, they want to get him even more involved. I don't think that bodes well for a guy like David Montgomery. A couple of guys that I kind of like more than him this week. I like the New York Jets running backs, Michael Carter. I know that they just acquired James Robinson. Robert Saleh has already come out and said that they're going to ease James Robinson into the game plan, kind of like CMC and his entrance to San Francisco last week. He's probably not going to see a lot of work. I like Michael Carter there. I like Brandon Ayuk if we're talking about flex positions of that nature. I like Brandon Ayuk against LA, and I love Cortland Sutton against Jacksonville this week. And I also like Tony Pollard, another player in a similar situation from the Khalil Herbert point of view. I still think he finds a way to get work done and gets passing downs work. And they play Chicago this week, which is David Montgomery's counterpart. So those are all players that I would prefer over David Montgomery this week if I was to move him into my flex position. If you're stuck with David Montgomery as your running back 2, like I am, luckily I've been holding on to Gus Edwards for the last, 4 or 5 weeks. And he is someone that I think is perfect for my running back 2 position. So I'm going to go ahead and even start Gus Edwards over a guy like David Montgomery this week. And for those reasons and those reasons alone, and probably a few more that I can't think of, David Montgomery is my fool's gold player for week 8 of the fantasy football season. Jacob, thoughts?
I mean, I love it, man. You know how much I love Khalil Herbert. Going into this season, I pretty much rostered him on every single team I had, and I had to drop him in one. And of course, he gets swooped up right away. So, it doesn't surprise me that they're talking about this. They said, I know you mentioned the recent comments, but even before that, they said they were going to go with the hot hand going into this game. And I'm like, wow. So, from a coaching perspective, it makes sense, right? You just want to win. So you're going to do whatever it takes to win. And I do think what this does, it takes David Montgomery from a solid RB2 to now he's a flex option. And then Khalil Herbert is I don't know if he's a flex. I mean, a desperation. If you're on bye weeks and you have nobody else left, he could throw him in your flex and hope for something. But in the game, you don't know how it's going to go. If Herbert is hot, then he could see way more touches than Montgomery. So, and look, you have Justin Fields running a lot too. So it's not, you can't rely on these guys for that type of volume. So, and it sucks because Montgomery was drafted to be relied upon.
Yeah. And
it's a good call. It's such a good call, Gabe, that when I was preparing my Fool's Gold, I actually also chose David Montgomery. Then I go and look at the notes and I see, shoot, Gabe has David Montgomery, and I had to pivot. So
that's what happens when you take too long to prep your notes, Jacob. You get sniped. Okay.
Fair point. Fair point.
No, man. I don't see it. Yeah, I'm looking here at Khalil Herbert's stats as well. I mean, he's a flex play at best. Really, only 1-2 down weeks throughout the first 8 weeks of the season, where he only produced 1 fantasy point and I believe 5 fantasy points. Other than that, he's putting up about 12 to 15. And then there's 1 week where he was all by himself against Houston and went off for almost 40. I think he's a desperation flex play too, maybe even a good flex play in some deeper leagues. But I just think when you're going up against the Dallas Cowboys offense that's only allowed 2 touchdowns all season, you're really limiting the upside of a player that doesn't get any passing downs work. I mean, if it's the passing down work is irrelevant and they're not getting it, then you're solely based on, is this guy going to get me 70 yards and a touchdown? I don't think it happens this week. And I don't think 70 yards and 7 points is going to sit happy on your fantasy lineup. So again, David Montgomery, running back for the Chicago Bears, my fool's goal player for week 8 of the fantasy season. Jacob, how we doing, man? We're almost halfway through the show.
We're doing good, man.
We're doing great. And with that being said, we're doing great because we have sponsors who support us. Just like all of you out there who support us, there are some big companies out there that are taking a shot on us as well. And we couldn't have done it without our sponsors over at Manscaped. So let's go ahead and take a quick break and give praise to our sponsors over at Manscaped.
Support for the First Round Fantasy Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FRF Sports. See, way before First Round Fantasy partnered with Manscaped, I have been using their products. No lie. I bought one of their previous lawnmowers, and honestly, it is the best grooming product I've ever used. It's time to take care of yourself. So go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping. And we all know how expensive shipping is right now. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use FRF Sports. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
And just remember, when you support First Round Fantasy and you support Manscaped, you're supporting us. So again, we appreciate all of you guys, all that you do, coming out, saying hi, liking the show, subscribing to the channel, and just leaving us your comments, talking to us. It helps us out so much. And Jacob, I got to say, that ad, I know some of us don't like it here.
Not my best work, but it'll do, right?
It'll do, right? Let's get to some comments, man. Gio Ramos, Lazard is out.
So yeah, correction. Dude.
He's not?
Sorry, Gabe. He's not out. He didn't practice. He did limited practice this week.
Are we sure about that?
He's not officially out yet. Yes.
Are you sure?
Oh, he did not practice today.
Oh, but you know what?
It's looking doubtful. It's looking doubtful.
He has the questionable He has the questionable tag. Questionable tag. I apologize.
But even more so, if he goes into the game questionable, you definitely want to roll with Tyler Lockett.
It's very common for players to log DNPs on Wednesdays too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's something you kind of learn when you play a lot of fantasy football. I could have sworn I saw the O tag, not the Q tag. Is that a Q there? Yeah, Q tag. So that was my fault. My apologies. But still, I like Lockett over him this week. And if he is out, Gio says start Dobbs over Sutton or Myers. No, baby. I like Myers, man. I love Myers. Are you saying? Oh, yeah. I wouldn't start Dobbs.
I'm saying start Myers.
I would start Myers as well. Thank you, Gio. Let's get back to Zach here. Got you with that subscribe. Jacob. Wait. You do that. I do this. Okay, There we go. Hey, man. It's people like you that keep us going. If you're still here in the chat, we appreciate you. Please come back with more of your questions. We want to answer them every single week. We want to be that sounding wall for you to come, hear our thoughts, bounce your thoughts off of us. Whatever it is, whatever you need, we're here every Wednesday, 7:30. And every Sunday of the NFL season at 9 a.m. PCD. You can't run on the Cowboys. No, you can't, Star Drew. We were just talking about it. That's right, my man. They need to throw the ball and get lucky. Yeah. Fields doesn't throw the ball.
And then Trayvon Diggs goes up and grabs it.
Right. Pretty sure Bears will get 13 to 14 points. Man, I disagree with you so much, Star Drew. I think they get probably 10. I don't think this game is – I can also –
they put up 33 on the Patriots, though.
Yeah, but the Patriots defense isn't like the Bears.
Yeah.
Isn't like the Cowboys defense, man.
True,
I
very
don't like
true.
it. I don't like it at all. I
Yeah.
don't like it at all. It's not my cup of tea. Well, Jacob, I'm in cahoots, man, because we did so many of our important things first. Now I'm just like, well, what do we want to talk about?
It would be nice if I could do my Fool's Gold.
Oh my dude, this is the second week in a row. I forgot.
Wow.
Oh,
Hey, but it's cool,
God.
man. Hey, we got the ad out of the way. We got everything out of the way. Now I can just live in triumph with my Fool's Gold.
Dude, Jacob, please take it away, man. Take it away.
All right. So this one is not easy for me to say because I love this guy and I think he's so underrated and disrespected, but that is Tyler Boyd. We saw him have a huge blow-up game this past week with Chase and Higgins in the lineup. He went for 8 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Great outing against the number one defense that allows fantasy points to wide receivers. Okay, so there's that. Joe Burrow's on fire, yes. But look, their past Joe Burrow's been on fire, but look at their past 4 games. Atlanta is first giving up the most points to wide receivers. New Orleans, 5th most points to wide receivers. Baltimore, 6th most points to wide receivers. Miami, 7th most points to wide receivers. And Tyler Boyd has had, decent games, good game week 6, blow up game week 7. Okay. Now they're playing the Cleveland Browns, who give up the 20th most points to wide receivers. And yes, I know the Cleveland Browns are banged up. I forget their star corner's name off the top of my head, but he might not play, that he would have been guarding Jamar Chase. But anyways, my point being, they're playing a much tougher defense than they've had to play in the past 5 weeks. This is not going to be a shootout blow-up game. And the pecking order is still Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, 1A, 1B, and then Tyler Boyd. I love Tyler Boyd. I think he's undervalued. I think people are realizing that this season, and especially recently. But all I'm saying is I've seen like trade offers and crazy stuff going on, like people relying on Tyler Boyd as a wide receiver 2 going into this week. I don't think you can do that. He can go right back to getting you 5 points this week. And not saying he will. I will, if he proves me wrong, amazing. I'd be very happy for the guy. But I just don't think, a lot of fantasy players, they only look at the fantasy points. And sometimes they only look at like, what did he do last week? They don't really look at the context of the situation. And I'm saying like pump the brakes on Tyler Boyd. He's still like a flex option, an insurance policy. You can start him in a bye week or whatever, injuries, but he shouldn't be like a locked-in start in your lineup for the rest of the season, and not this week against Cleveland. They have some great matchups weeks 9 through 13, so I think he's startable then, but I don't think so in week 8.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's hard, even on the best teams. Like you said, Joe Burrow, he's been cooking. He's been playing well the last few weeks. Still, Boyd is a wide receiver 3 through and through. Higgins and Jamar Chase, clearly that team runs through them. But as we've seen, there are games when Higgins explodes and Jamar Chase is quiet. There are games when Jamar Chase explodes and Higgins is quiet. There are games when Tyler Boyd explodes and Jamar Chase explodes and Higgins is quiet, right? So I think there really is a trifecta here of there is now a possibility where you can have some certainty in starting a guy like Tyler Boyd week in and week out. I mean, like you said, really only 3 weeks where he has not achieved 8 fantasy points or more. And, that's not that bad. It's not that bad. I think Cleveland is a little stingy, but it just goes to show that even if you're a wide receiver 3 on a good team, every now and then teams have to focus on those other 2 guys in front of you.
Yeah.
And that just means that Tyler Boyd is going to feast. He did it last week against a really porous defense. And this week he probably is going to run into stiffer competition. And who knows how teams are going to who are going to, game script these guys and what they're going to do to kind of prevent them from getting the ball. It's not a bad take, Jacob. It's not a bad take. I just think that Russian roulette of a trio is becoming harder and harder to predict each week.
It's a good point.
And it really is a gamble. It really is a gamble. But I like your evidence. I like what you have to say this week. And for that reason, there he is. Tyler Boyd, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's Jacob Bartley's Fool's Gold player for week 8 of the fantasy football season. Jacob, I apologize. It's 2 weeks in a row, man. I have literally just been like,
and
Jacob's takes are dog
wasn't
shit.
it the Fool's Gold both times?
Yeah, it was. I need to let you go first every time, dude. Every time I need to let you
so you don't forget. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man.
It's all good, man. Mo Diesel in the chat. Pretty sure we've seen you around here before, man. Thanks for stopping by. Am I winning this year? Half point PPR. I have Derek Carr, Chubb, Walker as his running backs, Evans, AJ Brown as his wide receivers, Goddard, ETN. I'm assuming that's Travis Etienne, Brandon Cooks, Rashad White, Bateman, Sutton, Allen Robinson, and Rashad White. He said Rashad White twice. Are you winning? It's so tough to say, man. It's so tough. Your QB is a guy who can have really good games and also really lose you games. And I think that's the weakest part of your team right now. Derek Carr is he's a streamer at heart. He's always kind of been a streamer at heart. I'll admit to that, even as a Raiders fan. He's not someone I literally go out and seek week in and week out to be my every week starter. I kind of just want to see where he's at in terms of like fantasy football finishes through the first 7 weeks. And we can see here. 25. Yeah, he's quarterback 25 on the season. Not feeling very comfortable with him. I knew I had to look it up because I knew it wasn't going to be too good. So there might be some better streaming candidates maybe. But as far as running backs are concerned, man, I mean, Chubb and Walker have been carrying you. You have ETN waiting in the wings. Hopefully he's your flex. And you really do have 2 boom-bust wide receivers in Evans and A.J. Brown. Hey, it's a team that if you hit everybody on the same week, you're putting up 220 points, my man. I mean, that's not hard to do with that team. So I like them. Are they fantasy champions? Right now, I'd give you about 50-50. Jacob, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good squad. I mean, sometimes I see these lineups. I'm like, damn, I wish I had that team. I mean, I obviously you got Chubb, Walker. I mean, your running backs are looking solid. Chubb, Walker, and Etienne, like that's a come up recently. Like maybe 4 weeks ago, you're like, shoot, I have no running backs, but now it's looking great for you, and your wide receivers are solid.
He acquired those running backs. There's a very likely possibility he could have drafted them all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
probably looks like it because he also has Rashad White there. So I don't know if maybe his game plan was like only draft rookie running backs. I'm just curious to what you have to say, Mo Diesel.
Might be, yeah. I'm curious to see the other teams, like who your competition is, but like I'd be happy with this team.
All right, there you go. Well, Mo Diesel, as always, thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate your thoughts and input, and we appreciate you letting us rank your teams because apparently we're pro analysts now and we get to rank teams. That feels pretty cool. But you got a solid team, Mo Diesel. Got a solid team. Star Drew, I say start Carr versus the Saints. Could be a really good shootout game. Again, man, I don't know. I feel like the Saints defense is a trap in its own right. They've had good weeks. They've had bad weeks. They've kind of just fluttered, teeter-tottering. But yeah, I'm not afraid to start Derek Carr. I just think sometimes there are better options. Like I'm pretty sure I could look it up right now.
So as of late, New Orleans has been
pretty bad.
Their defense has been struggling, and it's partially due to Marshawn Lattimore has been out, and
they also lost.
He's not practicing this week either. So that means it could be a shootout. Starter, you might be onto something.
Yeah. No, I mean, it could be. No. You're right. The Saints have been bad. They lost Marshawn Lattimore. They also lost someone else. Who did they play just this last week? Did they play the Saints? No, they played the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened. Their backup, not their backup, but their other starting corner went down. The name escapes me, so I apologize. But and then I specifically remember in DeAndre Hopkins' interview post game, he was like, "Dude, I mean, like, all props to him, but like once he went out, we knew we were just gonna like feast."
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if this is good or bad for this conversation, but they named Andy Dalton the starter, even though Jameis Winston.
No, did they already say that?
Yep.
That does not help my fantasy team.
Andy Dalton is named the starter.
Dude, I gotta look this up for real. Did they just do that? Yep. Andy Dalton to make 5th straight start. Wow, what? Back to your Derek Carr though. I would say
this brings up. I gotta talk about something here, fantasy related, that should shed light on something real quick. So last week I had Andy Dalton, right? Puts up 44 points in my dynasty league, in our dynasty league. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm gonna win this week. Like, Andy Dalton 44 points. I'm gonna win. I lost. I got blown out. So, lesson to be learned here: do not ever assume that you've won a matchup until it's done. That's karma biting me in the ass. I thought I won with Andy Dalton, and I lost. So,
who did you play by chance? Who was
to be learned? No, it wasn't Keith. It was I lost to Keith.
Blew up against me.
I lost against Keith. Hey, Keith's team is on the rise in that league. I don't. He might make the playoffs.
My first round picks.
He might make the playoffs, to be honest.
That ETN trade is not looking bad anymore for him.
Yes. Oh, I lost to DeMont. So, and DeMont's team is stacked in that league, so I'm not surprised.
Ooh. Well, yeah. Jacob, I feel for you. I'm trying to tank, and now that I'm realizing that Keith is actually winning, I'm disappointed because I need him to do bad so I can have a greater pick. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Mo Diesel says that he also has Kirk Cousins on his bench. He just kind of plays the matchups. Yeah, man. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins a lot better this week against Arizona than I like Derek Carr against the Saints. Just saying. I would probably do that. I probably would do that. But, we just spent some time talking about the Saints as well. And I get it. They're down a bunch of corners. So that's a pretty explosible team. It's a toss-up. I say in a pinch, fake water gun to my head, I'd probably go Derek Carr because of bias. But I like Kirk Cousins too.
Yeah, you don't want water squirted in your ear, right?
Nah, I don't. He says, wait, Keith Barnes? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Keith Barnes.
He plays fantasy football, bruh.
He only plays in one league, and it's a 12-man dynasty league, which is I convinced him to play, but still. But
he's holding his own.
No, dude. He likes it. He enjoys it. I knew Keith would enjoy dynasty more than redraft because it's kind of like managing your own franchise.
Yeah, totally.
And he loves that kind of stuff.
That's how we spun it. We were like, dude, you like playing Madden? It's just like managing your own franchise in Madden. It's awesome. Yeah. Just without controlling the players.
When Keith did play redraft, he would always draft the same players every year. And so it's like, I was like, dude, you want to play Dynasty. So let's go.
Yeah. Dude, I got to hear this. He says he picked up Walker and ETN for Chase Edmonds and Claypool. The owner was panicking. So obviously and clearly, this had to have been before the Rashad Penny injury, which would have put us in week 4?
Yeah. So basically, if you look at it that way, Etienne Robinson was looking like the runaway starter for that team.
This had to have been week 3,
and Walker was looking like bottom of your bench, dart throw, right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy. Insane. I've come up on some Walker and Etienne in different leagues, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, but that's
insane.
Is absolutely filthy.
Can you imagine how he felt for so long? He probably dropped Claypool, and now Claypool's doing good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Mo Diesel been making moves, bro. He had Eckler, traded him for Aaron Jones and Sutton, and then he traded away Aaron Jones for AJ Brown. He's been flip-flopping. Dude, hey, your team and your season is not determined at the draft. It's moves like this that put you in a position to win. Bro, your team's solid. And the only reason why I said 50-50 chances of winning it all is because you just never know what's going to happen. Look at you. You never knew in your wildest dreams that acquiring Walker and ETN was going to lead to what you had. Now, of course, if you were really smart, which I think you are, Mo Diesel, one, because you're listening to us, and two, because your team is clearly good, and two, because you've made some logical trades. So that's three reasons, actually. But I think when you really think about it, if you were smart, you would have known that ETN eventually would have gotten some run. You would have known that Walker eventually would have gotten some run. We did not anticipate the Seattle Seahawks being as good as they are this year, division leaders, might I say, and them riding Rashad Penny like they were before he went down. And you might have said that you would have anticipated that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to ride the hot hand of James Robinson and continue to win games before they fool's gold us all and continue to lose games and play poorly, hence giving ETN an opportunity to seize that backfield. So, I mean, if you're smart, you saw it coming. But you also don't have to be smart because this is a game of chance. It's a game that's fun. But, yeah, man, I mean, you've played yourself into a fantastic situation. And he's just got more to just water all over us, dude. This was when James Robinson and Penny went crazy at the same time. Dude. And he already had Chubb and Aaron Jones at that time, too. So he was sitting pretty when he acquired him. Mo Diesel, you deserve to win a championship just based off of those moves alone.
I mean,
he dropped both Claypool and Evans. Yeah,
oh,
of course
wow.
he did.
Of course,
he
yeah.
did. That's got to be the worst trade. It wasn't the worst trade in hindsight, but by golly, it feels like crap. Mo Diesel, if your job is to make people cry and feel bad and not want to play fantasy football again, then you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things in fantasy is like I love like projecting backup running backs and rookie running backs who are most of the time backup running backs and like, you know, basically not doing a 0 RB type thing, but like taking one stud and then taking a bunch of these guys who I know they're either one injury or one or like some bad play away from becoming the starter and becoming completely relevant. And it's worked out for me a lot. Like I had a team where I only had Swift as a locked-in starter, and then I had Stevenson, Walker, and Herbert, right? And now they're all looking like solid plays. And now I'm like, okay, now my team's looking good. So it's like I went from no running backs to now 4.
And you were panicking earlier in the season, much
Absolutely.
like the owner that Mo Diesel was talking about. And look what happens. Patience is a virtue.
And because I drafted that way, my wide receivers are solid too. So it's like now I got a 6 squad. So
that's fair enough. Mo Diesel, we appreciate you, man. Let's appreciate this new guy that I've never heard before. His name is Curly Wolf. I like it.
Mr. Curly Wolf.
What's his profile picture?
And his profile picture is a bunch of mooses outlined. You know what? I missed the toe tap guy. Where's he at?
I don't know. He's got to come back, dude.
What was his name? Mr. Toe Twinkle, or what was it? I don't know.
I don't know, dude. But what you guys think? AJ Brown and who's DJM? Oh, DJ Moore. AJ Brown and DJ Moore for JJ or Chase. I mean, I would do it for either or. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does,
if you play in one of our leagues, you'll never get either of those guys. But if you have a trade partner, look, that's actually a good offer, but people are so obsessed with JJ and Chase that they don't trade them. So
that's just because your experience with JJ and Chase owners is me. So
yeah. But I'm just saying, like, AJ Brown is amazing. He's a wide receiver 1. He's like just as good as them, honestly. So it's like, and you get DJ Moore, but people won't do it. But if you can do that, do it.
Nah, they won't do it. If you could do it, do it. And I would. And he says JJ or Chase. Which one would you rather have? I'd probably rather have Justin Jefferson, to be honest with you. Again, less mouths to feed as opposed to Chase. He's a solid option. He's an elite option.
The answer to that question in redraft and dynasty is very different for me.
Okay, well then let's say it's redraft.
JJ, 100%. Dynasty, Chase, 100%.
Oof, I'd go JJ in both formats. But good to know we agree. Good to know we disagree. What do you mean, no way? Justin Jefferson.
I know Joe Burrow's going to be throwing to Chase for the next decade.
Fair enough.
I have no idea who's going to be throwing to JJ.
Yeah, but whoever is going to be force feeding him the ball. And good wide receivers make bad QBs good. So
we'll see.
We'll see. Let's see. Oh, by the way, McCurley or Curly Wolf. We appreciate you, man. If you do the trade, solid, great. Thanks for stopping by. Works out for you, like and subscribe. If it doesn't work out for you, come back next week, bounce some more ideas off of us. We'll be happy to hear them and make it up for it. Modisto says he's 3-4, but I believe that I will finish undefeated. Bro, perfect example. I started out 1-4 in our dynasty league, and yes, I just lost Brees Hall this past week. I still feel very comfortable with my team, a team similar to yours in the fact that I have JJ and Jamar Chase as my young cornerstone wide receivers in that dynasty league. Joe Burrow is also on my team, so he's heating up. I feel confident in my backup running backs. Yeah, dude, 3-4 is nothing. We got 4 weeks left. You're going to be just fine. Your team is built for the playoffs as well because you have some depth at the running back position. James Foote is back. What's up, man? Good to hear from you again. After that Debo trade from last week, I traded Debo for Eckler. Thoughts? What? Dude, what's up with all these trades? Of course, that's a win. Debo is not who he was, especially since he's not going to be who he is, especially with the CD.
Eckler is the number 1 running back in fantasy by far.
Yeah, dude. I don't understand.
Crazy.
I don't understand. James Foote, do you have a water gun to people's heads? Is that what you're doing here? Are you the mob boss?
What if that league is standard, though? Then it changes things.
No, it's still Eckler.
No, but, dude, Eckler is getting all these catches. Like,
touchdown regression is a huge thing. Last year was where he had like 22 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I'm saying in the weird way, usually it's the opposite. If it was standard, it brings them closer. Like Debo, but like
but Debo hasn't been that good.
No, I would still rather have Eckler. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, think about our trade that we made, Jacob, at the beginning of the year. It was Debo for Mike Williams and DK Metcalf. How are you feeling about that? Like, I mean, I wasn't even trying to call you out. I'm just saying, like, Debo has had good games, but he has not been the player who he was last year.
Okay, well, exactly, but it's funny because both of those guys are injured now.
Yes, they are.
But it's not like Debo's been killing it either. So
it's fair.
And he's questionable this week, which is great.
James Foote says it's half-point PPR, and he first wanted Tyreek Hill, but I sent Debo.
Ooh, so now you have Tyreek and Eckler? That's nasty.
Dude, filthy. Welcome to a championship. Welcome to a freaking championship. McCurley says, thanks, my guys. Much respect and solid answers. Nah, man, much respect to you.
Love to hear
Thanks for coming by, bouncing your questions off of us. We love to talk fantasy football, dude. That's what we're here for. Every Wednesday, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. Every Sunday for Sunday morning tailgates, 9 a.m. PCT. Carlos Betres. I don't know why I added an accent to that, but he's looking to trade Kamara for another RB. Who you all think I should trade for? I'm very interested that you said that. If it's a redraft league, I wouldn't do it for A.J. Dillon because I did that in a keeper league. I wouldn't recommend it in a redraft league. But as far as other running backs you can trade for Kamara, I'd have to look it up. I'd have to see like what's going on here, who's a possible candidate you could trade for. Off the top of my head, I want to say a guy like Montgomery, but I just don't know. He's running back 7 on the year, so you could probably get value for him. I'd say if you could turn it into like Aaron Jones and like, I don't know, a Devin Singletary, someone might do that. Maybe just Aaron Jones straight up. I would do that. But I also think, why trade Kamara, especially if it's a redraft league? He's the number 7 running back on the year. I think you got a fine running back, and you should probably just keep him stat up. Or just keep him where he is. Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends what you're trying to accomplish here. And like we said, we're always going to assume it's redraft unless you guys tell us otherwise. I know this sounds gross, but hear me out. Najee Harris. Now look.
Oh, gross. You're right. I don't want to hear you out.
Look, Najee Harris has faced some tough defenses to start the season.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett
was the excuse this past week.
has only been the starter for, I think, 2 games, right? And he missed a game in between. They're still figuring out the offense. To end the season, so I'm thinking later on, so week 12 and beyond, plays Indianapolis, Atlanta, Baltimore, Carolina, Las Vegas, Baltimore, Cleveland. All relatively friendly to the run. So he has a nice schedule to end. He's going to have more time with Kenny Pickett. He's going to get healthier. I think Najee Harris is going to pick it up at the end of the season. I really do. So you're looking to make a move, I think you can get that deal done.
I say Aaron Jones, Dameon Pierce, probably not Dameon Pierce and someone else. Maybe like Dameon Pierce and I don't know, Mostert. I just don't like DeAndre.
I don't think you can. I don't think anyone thinks you have to trade more with Kamara to get Dameon Pierce. Honestly,
not in a redraft league. I mean, the team is
man.
not going anywhere fast. They're a losing team. I mean, dynasty maybe, but I don't know. But Carlos, he's got something else to say. A lot of players are coming back for the Saints. That's why I'm trying.
Are they though? Are they?
Yeah, are they?
Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Hey, you're listening to the most. I wouldn't say hated, but definitely a guy that is not on the Michael Thomas train, and he hasn't been for the last 3 years. And I'm starting to agree with him. I have him in your family league, Jacob, because you appreciate me like a part of your family.
Exactly.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. You're not in my family league though, so that kind of. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't have one. But what I was gonna say was,
I don't have enough like blood family members who play fantasy, so I had to throw a couple people in there.
That's fair. But no, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, I get it, but he was fine even before Michael Thomas went out. I mean, actually, he had a slow start, to be honest. I get your thinking, but also Kamara's Kamara, man. Year in and year out, the last 5 years, he's been a running back 10 or higher. Some years he's been 5 or higher, and he's been the running back over 1 overall. I mean, is that ahead of him this year? No, but I still think he's a strong captain candidate. And right now he's proving that. So he's a guy that I'd like to keep. James Foote says he wanted to trade for DeAndre Swift. I don't like DeAndre Swift either. He did practice in full.
Only because he's always injured.
Yeah, only because he's always injured.
If you can guarantee me Swift is healthy all the time, like to me, he's a top 5 running back.
Fair enough. Jamal Charles, no, not the Kansas City Chiefs running back, who's a friend of the show, because he's not. I made that up. But another guy named Jamal Charles. Should I trade K9? Who's K9?
Kenneth Walker, baby.
Oh my God, is he number 9?
Yeah, that's his nickname, K9. I didn't make it up. I did not make it up.
I like it. I just didn't know. I'm disappointed in myself. No. Should I trade K9 and Gabe Davis for Devontae Adams PPR? I already have Swift, Cook, Stevenson. In that scenario, I would not do it. Running back depth is so important, especially as we venture into the end of the season and the playoff run. I get it. Devontae Adams is a man among boys. But still, you have your big boom bust candidate in Gabe Davis. I think he's capable of at least another 2 or possibly 3 big games like he had. He's a perfect definition of a boom bust flex play for your lineup. And K9 is solid. Oh, I feel weird saying it. And Kenneth Walker is solid to go along with Swift. Look, you've been dealing with the headache of DeAndre Swift for the last 4 weeks now.
Yeah, and Swift is already injured. I guess he's fully healthy, or he's going to play this week, but I agree with you, Gabe. Don't do it.
Yeah, and with Stevenson, we saw Damian Harris come back last week, and Stevenson out-touched him 14-9. But still, I mean, you need the depth at running back. I love Kenneth Walker. I like Gabe Davis, and I think the running backs are solid.
And also, Damian Harris is back healthy. I know he didn't play a lot last week, and Stevenson performed well, but I think they were just easing Damian Harris back. So it's like, Swift is injury prone. Stevenson will always have Damian Harris there. Cook is solid. I would rather trade one of those other running backs with Gabe Davis to get a wide receiver, but keep K9.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Jacob, it looks like for the first time all season, we're going to get out of here before 9 p.m. That sounds pretty good, huh? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love talking with all the people that come and stop by, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles today. So before we get out of here, we just want to appreciate all of you again, because I can't say it enough. We can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for stopping by, showing some love, dropping your comments, dropping your thoughts, and letting us give our opinions on them. We love to do it, so we appreciate you for it. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at First Round Fantasy. You can listen to us here on YouTube and watch our beautiful faces at the same time, or listen anywhere you get your podcasts, most notably Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have merch linked in the subscription down below. You can support us that way, tpublic.com, or you can also support us by going over to Manscaped, finding some merch there. take care of yourself. All right. By putting in our promo code FRF Sports in checkout. With all of that, Jacob, it's been a great week, man. I'm excited. Fantasy football is alive and thriving. I love it. And I can't believe I'm doing it with you, man. But really quick, because I always like to get on course. So I'm going back to James Foote. He says, should I get A-Rod? I'm thinking he meant A-Rob or Sam Ellinger.
No, I think it's Aaron Rodgers. Is he asking to start Aaron Rodgers or Sam Ellinger? And I mean, we didn't talk about him earlier. We didn't talk about waiver wire pickups, but I'm actually, I have some optimism for Sam Ellinger.
Not in the first game, though.
He rushed for 2,000 yards in his collegiate career.
Yeah, and he's also been in the league for 2 years, and they've not.
Well, he's never taken an NFL snap. So look, the only reason not to is because we have no idea what we're going to get from Ellinger. But I will tell you, it's crazy. I'm starting Ellinger in a league, but I'm starting him over Kenny Pickett. So that's a different story.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, man, you do what you want with that. I have no input for you.
Why? You don't want to advise him to start Aaron Rodgers either?
I don't really want to advise you to start either of them. But, I mean, if you start Sam Ellinger tomorrow, or if you start Sam Ellinger, who do they play this week? Washington?
Hey, he's going to run all over Washington. Watch.
It's not a bad matchup, dude. I didn't have any shares of Sam Ellinger either, so I'm just kind of disappointed. I needed him in our Dynasty League. I got to change the waiver wire priority because last place always gets first pick.
I had the third waiver, and I didn't get him. I wanted him so bad.
Dude, because Keith is loading up on quarterbacks.
Well, it wasn't even Keith who got him, but now we're talking about our own leagues.
Yeah. Sorry. And then last but not least, Carl Batres says, good night, y'all. Hopefully tomorrow's game is good.
Thank you, Carlos.
We need some good Thursday night football games. You are absolutely right. Last week might have been the start of that. So let's keep it going. Jacob, any hot takes to get us out of here tonight?
No, I've been banned from hot takes since my TDP one.
Oh, that's right. That means I got to think of one?
Yes.
All right, here you go. Jacob, you got it lined up?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We were just talking about him. The guy who hasn't seen the field in 2 years, taking an NFL snap. Only in the preseason where, of course, he's going to look good because he's playing against crappy defenses, second teams, third teams, whatever it is. That's Sam Ellinger, QB for the Indianapolis Colts. He's going to come out on Sunday because it's not tomorrow. He's going to come out on Sunday and absolutely set the world on a dud because he is not going to get anything done against the Washington Commanders, which are a beatable defense. And yet he is still going to underperform. That's right. So sorry. Have a good night. Peace.